And we are going to start standing today. It is one of the easiest ways to assess the hips. And this massive piece of equipment, I'm going to ask Eric to join me today, just because, he came completely apart here. Walk around a little bit so that if you were sitting down, shake off the walking. And then Eric and I will join you. If you can actually see that all that far away. We're going to come a little bit closer. Hey, Jenny. So the pelvis, I'm going to put the arms out of the way so they can really see. The pelvis is such an interesting thing. It literally means bowl, albeit a very leaky bowl, if you ask me, sort of it looks like half a bowl. But the ilium, these wings on each side, if you palpate around your hip, you can feel them and you can see this is a huge piece of bone. The only other place we have this much bone in one surface is the skull. And so we know that we are protecting some key equipment here. And also because it is really the highway or the intersect that negotiates this massive brute strength coming from the earth energy, hey Rachel, and also the fluidity from above. So we have a lot of mobility in the hips for that reason. So the hip joint is where the thigh bone intersects into the ilium. So we have, you can take your legs out to abduction and then adduction going in. And what happens sometimes is that the ilium and the hip begins to move as one. So we move the leg and then the whole hip begins to journey up. It is a joint. So is there movement without everything moving along with it? So we'll do a little bit more exploration on that. So we have a tremendous amount of mobility available to us in the pelvis. We have, of course, flexion. We have extension. So just explore that a little bit on both sides. You can let your hand come to a wall or hold on to a chair because it does require a little bit of balance. And then we just did the abduction and adduction. And then what's really interesting too, rotation. You can rotate the whole thigh bone, but again, as you rotate the leg, does your pelvis go along with it? Sometimes things get really stuck in there. I see that frequently, and then we really begin to wreak havoc on the spine. So we'll explore all of these movements in tonight's class. What happens, so we have the three joints. We have the pubic symphysium down here, it comes together. And then of course we have the sacral joint in the back. So you have it, the 5 fused vertebrae, which sits right above the crack, so to speak, with the middle finger being the tailbone all the way down there. And there's a lot of tendons and ligaments connected to this tissue. And if you've broken or sprained your tailbone, you know this, and it can take years to rehabilitate. And often it becomes chronic with tailbone issues because we don't tend to it soon enough. So again, getting all of these, the LA highway working together. When we walk, and we're going to explore this movement tonight, so I'll move Eric out of the way. One ilium goes forward, the other one goes back. So we have movement like this, which can get stuck either way or the other. So I invite you, as I take Eric out of the way, as you stand or walk around, can you feel that one of your hip wings move forward, one moves back? A lot of SI irritation, it can be because you're stuck on one side, not enough movement. So we will see to set that free tonight too. So we are asking a lot of this joint. And when it works well, we have fluidity, which is the element, the chakra element. But when this doesn't work, it's like a block of ice, just all frozen in place. So with that, as you stand, And this can be a really good little exercise to do in front of a mirror. Standing, does the pelvis tip forward? That is lordosis. We have more anterior tilt. So we tend to have a lot of congestion in the low back and across the sacrum. Or is our posture more the tucking under, where there's a scoop and we kind of hang out here instead? So of course, this is the red light reflex, and this would be the green light reflex. If there is scoliosis, one hip tends to sit higher than the other, or if there's a discrepancy with leg length. So some people will tell me, oh yeah, my mom always had to hem up one pant leg, but not the other. And so that can be really interesting too, to sort out, is it a leg length or is it a scoliosis? And that's not always as obvious as one would think it is. It affects how we use the hips, and it really affects the spine. So getting to know our structure is key. And so from here, go ahead and come onto your back body. Hello, Meg. And as you come down, oh, I need to aim the camera down. I can see I sort of vanished out of just a nose and a knee peeking up there. Go ahead and lay flat on your back first. Laying flat. And then notice the landmarks. Are you laying smack right centered on your sacrum so that you're not listing onto one butt cheek more than the other? Are you orienting more towards the tailbone of the sacrum or towards the top? So if you're more towards the tailbone, that would be the green light reflex, with the forward tilting of the pelvis with the excessive lumbar curvature. If you are towards the top, where the low back is almost flat on the floor, that would of course be the red light. So when we start with the breathing and then adding the notion of the arch and flatten, that begins to relieve this imbalance right around the midsection. And from this area, we want all movement to start. The other thing I'm going to ask you just to notice is, and first just sense it, does the legs rest and roll out equidistant away from the midline? And then take a peek. One leg may roll out more than the other, which would indicate that there's an imbalance in the rotators of the hip. It could be an injury, it could be dominant side tends to be tighter. And so that imbalance, again, it will be transferred up through the pelvis and into the spine. And then from here, let's go ahead and bend up the knees. Place the feet on the mat, hands on the lower belly. And then take a moment before we do anything consciously, just sense the breath. What all came onto the mat with you? And then we'll do 3 sigh exhalation. So let's take a breath in. Let's do that 2 more times. One more time. So inviting release for the psoas muscle. the mighty hip flexors. Boy, can they be stinky. When they contract, we often have low back pain, and we have really tight hip flexors across the front. So we get a little ducktail. So notice now, did you get a little bit more ease into the diaphragmatic breathing? Does the diaphragm move a little bit more freely as you inhale? Belly expanding on the in-breath, releasing on the out. Then we're going to incorporate a yogic breathing practice. It's called Viloma 1. And it is separating the breath into, we'll start with 2 parts where inhale fully into the abdomen, and then we'll exhale about 50 or 60%, pause for 1 count, and then we'll exhale the remainder. So that's the one way to begin to tone the diaphragm. So let's do that for several breath cycles. Take a full breath in and out in between. So breathing in, belly expands, and then exhale about half. Pause, and then exhale the remainder. Take a normal in breath and out breath. And we'll do this again. Inhale. Again, exhale about half. Pausing. And the remainder. Take another in and out breath. So Viloma means against the grain or unnatural. So you can do this on the out breath. You can do it on the in breath too. Though I'm not really a big fan of that because that can really stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. And while that is warranted sometimes, I don't generally do it in group classes. So again, we'll now put it into 3 pauses where you'll exhale about 30 to 40%. And then the second time, again, 30, 40-ish, pausing, and then exhale the remainder. Full breath in, exhaling a 1/3-ish, pausing, a 1/3, pause, and a 1/3. And then breathe in and out. So if any of this causes you discomfort or anxiousness, anxiety, or agitation, just go back to normal belly breathing. You may like to return to only 1 pause instead of 2 pauses. So when we alter the breath, we always want to make sure that we are not creating any nervous system upset. Let's do it a couple more times. When you're ready, belly breath, and exhaling about a 1/3, pausing, another 1/3, pause, and the remainder. Is it easy to separate in 1/3? And as always, I ask, is there jumpy or jitteriness? Is there some tension held around the diaphragm? There often is. We'll do it one more time. When you're ready, inhale completely. And exhale a 1/3. Pause. third, pause, and the last bit. Let the breath return to neutral. Just notice, how is the breath now after we included this little exploration? We're going to bring our awareness to the pelvic floor, the bottom basket. As you inhale, can you sense a softening, gentle expansion of the pelvic floor? And as you exhale, can you sense a drawing upward? So it's very, very subtle. The in-breath, softening, expansion, and the out-breath, it moves up along with the diaphragm. So they work in synchronicity, moving down together, moving up together. And when we apply the bandhas, Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor, and Uddiyana Bandha, we are just making that a little bit more conscious. So let's begin to first layer in our arch and flatten. When you're ready, if it's comfortable, take the arms out to cactus arms or goalpost. Same thing, different names. If that's uncomfortable, take the arms straight out to the side with the palms facing up. So keep your arms wherever it is comfortable for your shoulders. And then inhale, contract the low back. Exhale, floating back to neutral. Inhale for nothing. And exhale, flattening the low back. So the hollowing out, that is Uddiyana Bandha. Literally meaning upward wing, so that would be the rib cage. Let's take a buffer breath here. And on the next in-breath, let's arch again. Arch the low back. And exhale, floating back to neutral. Breath in for nothing. And as you exhale, again, hollow out the belly. And this time also really drive the heels down so you let the tailbone surge upward. So that is the Mula Bandha action. Pelvic floor engages. And then slowly releasing this. Take a buffer breath in and out. And we repeat. Move at a pace that's comfortable for you. Arch. Belly expands. And exhale. We float back to neutral. Breath in for nothing. And exhale. Hollow out the belly. And then drive the heels down, tailbone up. So you feel the strong contraction across the pelvic floor. And then slowly release. So a very strong Mula Bandha action. Any imbalance across the pelvic floor is going into the hips and up through the sacrum. Take a buffer breath. And let's do that again. Inhaling. Notice, are you driving down straight across the sacrum? Are you listing to one side? Coming back to neutral. Take the breath in for nothing. And exhale. Hollow out the belly. Drive the heels down. Draw the tailbone up. Strong contraction. And let it get go. Buffer breath. I think that's worth doing one more time. arching. And neutral. In breath for nothing. And exhale. Hollow out. Drive the tailbone up towards the pubic bone. Heel's going to help, so it's a strong action. And then we let it fade away. Breathing in, breathing out. And then from here, without hands, we're going to draw the right knee towards the chest. And slowly releasing it towards the floor, and we'll slide it out long. Slide the leg out long and then let it relax completely. So we're moving the psoas release way up in the sequence today. Take a deep belly breath. Can you relax your hip a little bit more? And then slide the leg up again. Draw the knee in. Full contraction of the hip flexor. Slowly, evenly and smoothly release the foot down and slide it up. Press up through the heel and let the leg go. Belly breath, as if you were breathing all the way down into your foot. And let's do that 2 more times. Slide, foot up, draw the knee in, smooth and easy. Slowly release down. Sliding out. Press up through the heel. And let go. Letting go. Last one. Make it decadent. Luxurious. And delicious. Sliding it out. Press up through the heel. And let it go. Belly breath. And go ahead and slide the left leg out too. And as you breathe in and out, toggle your awareness right to left. Notice the breath in your lower right quadrant compared to the left. Notice the legs. Does it maybe roll out a little bit more on the right now? Is it laying a little flatter? What changed? Let's go ahead and bend up the right leg. And we'll treat the left side to the same delicacy. Slide the leg up. Drawing it in. And slowly release. Who's in a hurry? Press up through the heel and flop. Breathing in and out. And go ahead and repeat. 3 more times. Drawing the knee in. Release, sliding out. Press out through the heel. And let go. Let's do that again. Drawing in. Keep your low back moving towards the floor, even as you release the foot down. So we're isolating the pelvis from the thigh bone, pressing out through the heel, and then surrender. Belly breath. And fourth time. Taking your time, enjoying the journey. Pressing out through the heel and four. Belly breathing. Let's slide the right leg out and pause. Pausing, sensing, allowing. We're going to go ahead and bend the knees up again. We're going to walk the right foot off the mat. Lift the front of the right foot and then let the knee pivot down towards the left heel. And lift up again. Again, here the arms can be cactus. They can be out to the side. It is whatever feels good. Slowly release the right knee down towards the left. And contracting, coming up again. Internal rotation. Moving slowly up and down. The knee dips down, maybe almost to the floor, so we walk the foot out. So the knee drops towards the midline, and then lifting up. So with the foot off, we cleared the path for the right knee to drop down towards the midline. And then it raises back up to where it started. Jenny, walk your foot out off the mat. Can you see me? And so that the leg drops down towards the left foot. And then it comes up again. So it's a big sweep. Securing internal rotation. What is available? So we remember one of the yogic tenets, parigraha, the last of our moral guidelines, absence of greed. So when it comes to flexibility and stretching, it can sometimes feel like we're really getting into some deep stuff if we go and knock it out of the park. And research says, yeah, if there's a lot of strain and pain and discomfort, you may be tightening things up instead. So while it may feel rewarding in the heat of it all, practice at a place that is comfortable both physically, but also emotionally. All right, next time you lift the knee up, let's toe, heel, in. We're going to go ahead and stay on the right side. And we're going to do external rotation. So we're going to let the knee drop out to the side and lifting it back up. Just gentle brush strokes. Dropping the knee down, lifting it up. Staying centered on the sacrum. And notice when the sensation changes from release to a stretch. So don't force the stretch. Lifting up, and you can explore by not lifting all the way up, but lifting up a few inches, halfway, 3/4 of the way. Feel the muscles engaging. And then feel them releasing. So the pelvis stays completely still. It is a thigh movement, a hip movement. So that is that. Can we isolate thigh bone from ilium, from the pelvis? So internal and external rotation. Now, next time you have the leg down as far as it's comfortable, go ahead and just slide the leg out. And then let your left leg follow. And let's just pause here. So every time we pause, it's an invitation to investigate and feel. And some of these pauses will have very little change for you to observe, and others will be, whoa. And it's going to be different from each one of us. Let's go ahead and bend up the legs again. This time we're going to toe, heel, the left leg off the mat. And so having a slightly longer distance between heel and seat. So don't be in too tight, comfortable space. And then we begin again. Knee dips down, lifts back up again. So internal rotation. Up and down. And notice, does this one feel tighter or looser? Knee drops down, lifts up. So pivoting on the heel. So now torquing around the knee joint, if you find that there's discomfort around the knee, then you may have your heel in too tight to the tush. You may also be going too far. So back off, always back off and away from discomfort. If you place your hands on your front hip, pelvic bumps, that's a great way to just feel, am I moving my pelvis a lot? Can I isolate my thigh bone? And next time we come up, we'll toe heel back in. And then we will release out to the left side. Again, pivoting on the foot. So you come to ride the pinky toe side of the foot. Lowering down, staying centered on the pelvis as best as you can. When you begin to dip onto your left cheek, you're no longer moving the thigh bone in the socket, then the whole pelvis is beginning to move. So with the hands on the ilium, on the pelvis, we can do a little kinesthetic check-in. And again, feel free to play with how high you come back up. Maybe halfway. So we have both tempo and we have distance. And of course, number of repetitions. So we have a lot of opportunity for variety in these. And again, the optimal for each of these is going to be different for everybody. So I sort of travel down right the middle of the leg. And then for your home practices, you find an area where you notice a big difference, or you feel like there's room for more flexibility. Then add what you learned about yourself. All right, next time you come up, slide the legs out again. Let's just check in. A little Shavasana moment. Breathing in and out. And while it may be challenging to remember how you felt when you first came onto the floor, when we first did our little check-in, maybe you're laying a little bit flatter now. So checking in with whatever sensations are present. Go ahead and bend up the knees again. So now we move to the QLs, quadratus lumborum, or the name hip hikers. So as the name implies, with a little bit of flattening in your lumbar spine, so you don't have to like do the big hollow out that we started with. Draw the right hip up towards the right shoulder. So contract the right waist and let go. So now the obliques are helping out too. Go to the left side. Hike the hip up, letting it go. Go from side to side. And the next time you're on the left side, coming back to neutral and just pause there. And draw the right shoulder towards the ear, draw the left shoulder down. And then let that go in the opposite direction. So shoulders, one hikes up, one hikes down. And letting your palms face down for this one. I know you almost never hear me say that. A little arm slide. Let your head just follow along. And we're going to go ahead and combine this with the hip movement. So as the right shoulder pulls down, pull the right hip up. And then switch to the other side. So we invite the whole spine to participate, because we know we have that big X from shoulder to hip that we have to address hip. Any imbalance across that big seam on the back, it's going to affect the hips. A little pollywogging wiggling, side to side. And then next time you come back to center, from left or right, and slide the legs out again. Pause. Feel the breath. And the sensations, the aliveness in your body. This may feel like a pulsation or shimmering. So there's always movement. Even when we lay perfectly still in the musculoskeletal, the heart is beating, breath is moving in, blood and neurons and nerve signals and hormones pulsating through the body. And we can sense this. Go ahead and bend up the knees again. And then gently, instead of moving on a horizontal plane, we're going to move vertical down, pressing the right hip towards the floor. And return to center. Press the left hip down. So as one side moves down, the other will move up. Notice what muscles you're using. Are you using a lot of pedal power, or is this a core event? You can do it either way. So I invite you to explore it either way. By pressing the opposite foot, we can get a little hip lift. I'm sorry, same side foot presses down, the hip lifts up. And notice with the foot press, how the knee draws forward ever so slightly. So this was the concept I mentioned in the beginning. Can you feel how one side dips forward, other side dips backwards? So this is the walking without the joints in the pelvis. It was one fused event. We would be able to do this opposite moving. Side to side. We're going to let that go. Sliding the legs out again. So we can't really separate out hips from pelvis, from sacrum, from lumbar spine. The psoas connects with the spine down to the thigh bone. So we have to address both. Of course, it has the iliacus with it, which is a muscle that sits flat on that whole inside of your pelvic bone. And that was the one we were just exploring now. Can it move the pelvis back and forth so you have the model walk, the swing, not from side to side, but front to back. Let's go ahead and bend up the left leg. No, I take that back. Scratch that. Keep it straight. We'll take the arms up to the sides. We're doing the falling tree. And so you knew that because that wasn't going to work. Roll the right leg in. Roll from the thigh bone. Roll the leg out. So roll the leg in and out. And then next time you roll out, just slide the leg maybe about halfway up. So have Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose, and slide it back out again. And then I'll roll the leg back in, rolling it out. So we spent the whole class up to now preparing for this move. Slide the leg up, maybe a little bit higher, a little frog leg. Slide the leg out, rolling it in. So move at a tempo. Leg comes up. We slide it back down, rolling it in. So rotation, flexion, adduction. So we really just need two more. We got the full event. So next time you come up into the supine tree pose, stand the knee up to come on, rolling onto the foot, and then begin to dip it across. Let the hip lift up, and roll it, turn to center. Knee draws out to the side, abduction, sliding it along, and rotating the leg in. Sliding up. Coming across. Keep your right shoulder heavy as you rotate, knee away from shoulder. And then let your head roll towards the right side. So there's a little bit of a lumbar pumping action. Using the leg, sliding up, dipping across, and returning back out, sliding along, rolling in. I love this one. I mean, they are all my favorite, but you know how it is. Some are more favorite than others. When in doubt, when you feel stuck, cross the hips. When the water element seems to have frozen, this is just a real easy one to begin to invite movement back with. Now, next time you slide the right leg out, let's just pause. Pause and feel. The right hip feels different from the left. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Let's roll the left leg in and out. So explore this movement. I invite you to let the origin be the thigh bone. You can toggle down and do the move from the foot and just see how does that feel different. Sometimes when we originate from the foot, we actually take more rotation in than the thigh bone has, and it becomes a little passive. And we're going to use these muscles. And slowly begin to slide the leg up. And don't be in a hurry to get it all the way up. Down, rolling in, sliding up again. Slow and steady. Rehabilitating healthy range of movement in the joint. And when you come up about as high as you can go, we begin to take the knee across. But taking a little bit of time to build each movement so there is no force, just gentle ease. Back and forth. Keeping your left shoulder heavy as you draw the knee across. So again, we're working that diagonal. Let the nose move opposite of the knees. Nose opposite of knees. Fluidity, smooth and gentle. And the next time you take the leg out, stick the arms down again for a little shava, as Tia's little likes to call it, shava. I like shavasana, I like to say the whole bit, but to each their own. Now, as you pause, this will be just a little preview of what's coming up before we roll over onto the back. Because what we haven't done yet is the extension. The extensor muscles, your big players are glutes and hamstrings. Hamstrings are secondary to the glutes. They are the glutes helper. But when they fire first, the glutes can get really lacy. So squeeze your right cheek, squeeze the right cheek. And the reason we're doing it on our back is we have some feedback from the floor. And then slowly release that. You feel how your whole pelvis on the right lifted up. Now squeeze the left. So I want you just to have a little sensation of each. Squeeze, and that hip goes up. And we'll lower down. Let's do that one more time. We tend to have a dominant glute and a not so dominant glute. Again, that leads to an imbalance across the hip. Which one is the lazy one? Now activate both. Squeeze the glutes. Evenly. Say, check. Got it. And then slowly release. And then let's journey onto our abdomen. And place your arms in a way comfortable for your head, and maybe take one hand on top of the other and the forehead on the back of the hands. And we'll start by releasing the hamstrings. And just place your head in whatever way feels good for your body. You can turn the head to one side, you can support on a blanket or a pillow. Be comfortable. And let's bend up the right leg. So draw the right tush towards the right heel towards the tush. That's what I'm trying to say. And we're going to slowly lower the leg down. So I'm taking into full knee flexion. And you feel the hamstring contract it. And from here, let's go from 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Relax completely. You do that one more time on the right. Bend the right knee, pull the heel towards the tush. Full knee flexion. And then again from 12, 11, press the hips down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Notice if there's jumps and jitters. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, we're almost down. Now lift the leg just an inch, maybe just an inch. You feel the lower fibers of the hamstring fire. And we can count this down from 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. So we can play around again with duration, tempo, and distance. Each one will affect the fiber differently. Let's go to the other side. Draw the left heel to the tush. Give it a good squeeze. And then from here, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Everything rests. And again, bend the heel up to the tush, pressing the hips down a wee bit. And from 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Let's lift it a few inches up again. Feel the hamstring engaging again. And we're going to take it down here from 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. So an eccentric hamstring release, lengthening and strengthening. All right, now let's check back in with the glute. That will be our last thing. Press the hips down and lift the right leg straight. Lift the right leg, but keep the feet soft. Now glute is all that is on. Let's count that down from 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Did the hamstring want to help out? With the knee straight, we are activating the quadriceps, so that should in theory, overpower the hamstring, but it is a secondary helper. Let's try it again. Straight knee, lift. Lift the right leg, and then lower down. From 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. So if the hamstring really wanted to help out, what was the glute doing? Let's do it on the other side. Pressing the hips down, straight leg, lift the leg. Glute is on the job. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Everything lengthens. Full breath, in and out. One more time. Press the hips down. Straighten the leg and begin to lift the thigh bone. Glute, fire. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Everything relaxes. And we're going to come onto our back body again. And we'll end with our by drawing the knees in. And then the arch and flatten here. So hip flexors and low back, we're not going as far. Inhale, arch. Exhale, flat. Inhaling, arch. Exhale, flatten. So that helps also release out any tension that may have congested into the glutes or the low back. Hold the knees in and release. Slide the legs out. Pause. Again, as you let your body melt towards the earth, sensing that inner pulsation. You may feel it in the palms of your hands, bottom of your feet. You may feel that this pulsation, the same as your heartbeat, as you lean right into the heartbeat. Life, vitality, peace. Then gently begin to wiggle. Fingers, toes. We'll bend up the knees. And it can be nice to just rock the knees a little bit from side to side. Gentle momentum. Coming all the way over onto one side. Pausing here for a moment. Who's in a hurry? And we'll push up into a comfortable seated posture. We'll bring our palms together at heart center. And close with our prayer and intention for peace, sharing the contents of our hearts with those who suffer globally and locally and within. Let's take a deep breath in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Thank you. Namaste.